Hello. I wanted to jump on and say a little bit today about perceptions of beauty. It's a massive topic, obviously, but I'll have a go. I was reflecting on it recently because, obviously, coming from the perspective of being female and in midlife period as well, and just really noticing the strong pull of the kind of conditioning around lots of society's ideals of what it means to be beautiful. And gosh, it's a multi-billion dollar industry. So the conditioning is coming from so many different channels in society that how can we not create an ideal of what that is? And it's essentially based on youth, really. And obviously, aging is counter to that. And so we get this massive industry around trying to stay young and fight gravity and basically resist all the natural parts of aging because they feel unacceptable. And I'm not immune to that. My kids will remind me of my grey roots and my wrinkles. And initially, there can be a sense of like, ugh, constriction. But then it just helps to notice the conditioning and feel the pull of it, and then realize that it's all made up. But the idea of what is beautiful, just the very idea that it could be a singular thing is ridiculous. And yet it's so powerful, particularly when you watch certain programs on TV and, watching, I've got children who are growing up, watching them being so susceptible to what it means to look in a certain way and how we have to follow certain trends. And of course that, we've all done that. And yeah, it's so very compelling. And it creates that fragmentation within us because it feels like so many of the ways of being are not acceptable. And then it internalizes that and obviously induces shame because we've created a society that essentially correlates attractiveness with worthiness. And that's so embedded that we don't even see it sometimes. And particularly around the female piece, there's still this huge thing around objectivity and being an object and what it means to be attractive. And it's such a monolithic thing. And yet, beauty is actually in everything. It's in the way that the form shows up in its multiplicity of ways. That's beautiful. And yeah, that sounds kind of crass and a bit twee, really. But when we really see through the conditioning and start to reevaluate what beauty is, and we do that from a perspective of being wholly connected and not separate, and then therefore beauty is just simply an expression of love. And it's clear that when someone is completely aligned with that within themselves, the beauty just radiates through them, regardless of what the veneer looks like. It's nothing to do with that. That's so superficial and skin deep, that it's about the joy of being and how comfortably we sit with that. And yes, that's a massive conversation to have. And just using the example of like becoming a parent or a mum and like the physicality of what that does to your body and the way society is telling us like what's acceptable as a body after we've had a baby. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Because when we look at it from a really natural point of view, how incredible is this body in terms of being a beautiful vessel to grow a life force in it and to birth a new baby? That is just, it blows everything out of the park, basically. And then suddenly we can relate to, the areas that might have seemed unacceptable, the wrinkles, the saggy bits, and kind of, envelop them in love, because it's just an incredible thing when we look at the body from that perspective and not from a very, very, very superficial kind of perspective of what we need to look like. So I realise it's a very, very, very short kind of brief exploration of the topic, but I wonder if it resonates with you at all. I'd love to hear your feedback. Have a lovely day.